Welcome to this short educational video which is titled Guidance for Delivering Very Brief Advice, and it's brought to you by SmokeFree Hull. SmokeFree Hull offers free advice and support for those looking to begin their stop smoking journey. The service went live on the 1st of October 2019 and we're open to all Hull residents aged 16 plus. The video is designed to give an insight into the basic principles of how to give very brief advice for stopping smoking.
By the end of the video, you should feel more confident in delivering very brief advice and have an understanding of how this short intervention can be beneficial. You should also feel confident in discussing smoking status with pregnant smokers and smokers with poor mental health.
We'll start by discussing the health risks of smoking and the benefits of quitting. We'll then move on to very brief advice itself, including the principles of very brief advice, the evidence base for very brief advice, the 3 steps of very brief advice, and also understand how to apply very brief advice to everyday situations.
Finally, we'll learn the pathways and making appropriate referrals into the SmokeFree Hull service itself.
A cigarette is more than tobacco wrapped in paper. The cocktail of chemicals in cigarette smoke comes from different sources when a cigarette is made and used. Over 4,000 chemicals are added to tobacco. Some chemicals are found naturally in the tobacco plant, but other substances are also added for flavour and to make smoking more pleasant. Many of these chemicals in tobacco and cigarette smoke have other surprising uses, as you'll see in the picture on the right-hand side of the screen. As well as the chemicals listed here, most regular cigarettes also contain between 1.2 and 1.4 milligrams of nicotine.
Nicotine is a substance in tobacco plants that protects the plant from being eaten by insects. It stimulates dopamine release in the brain, resulting in an activation of the brain's reward areas. It's highly addictive, yet compared to other chemicals listed within the cigarette, it's relatively harmless.
Smoking harms your body in many different ways. It damages your heart, it damages your brain, ages your skin, and it also weakens your bones. It increases your blood pressure, and it can give you stomach ulcers. It also affects fertility in women and in men. It increases the risk of cancer in your mouth and throat and causes 84% of all deaths from lung cancer and 83% of all deaths from COPD.
COPD accounts for approximately 5% of the total number of UK deaths, and it is nearly always caused by smoking. Here you can see a diagram of a healthy lung, and here you can see some of the effects that COPD causes. Up to 3.7 million people in the UK have it, and unfortunately most are undiagnosed. There is no cure for COPD, but quitting smoking can slow down the progression of the condition.
Secondhand smoke is a mixture of 2 forms of smoke that come from burning tobacco. There is mainstream smoke, exhaled by the smoker, and sidestream smoke, from the end of a cigarette. Sidestream smoke has smaller particles that make their way into the lungs and the body's cells more easily. People who breathe in secondhand smoke are at risk of the same diseases as smokers. Children are particularly affected by secondhand smoke because their bodies are still developing. And more than 80% of secondhand smoke is invisible and odourless, so no matter how careful a smoker thinks they're being, the likelihood is that they're causing harm to someone around them.
More than 1 in 10 babies in England are born to a mother who smoked throughout her pregnancy, and in some areas this is as high as 1 in 4. Babies born to mothers who smoke are twice as likely to die from sudden infant death syndrome, and it also increases the risk of complications in pregnancy and the child developing a number of conditions later in life, such as premature birth, low birth weight, ear, nose and throat problems, respiratory conditions, obesity, and diabetes.
It's important that we understand the scale of the problem. Tobacco addiction by definition is a disease, and when we think of diseases, we see it as a problem which is treatable. Tobacco addiction can be treated with the right support.
In order to treat any disease, it is first important to recognise how many people smoke in England. In 2018, the proportion of current smokers was approximately 14.7%, which equates to around 7.2 million people. Of all local authorities in England, Hull and Lincoln had the highest smoking prevalence, with 26% of the adult population reporting that they smoked, which equates to around 52,000 smokers in Hull itself. Of that 52,000, only 5% of these are accessing stop smoking support at any given time, which means there's still a lot of work to be done to reach Public Health England's target of a smoke-free society by 2030.
Of the 52,000 smokers in Hull, slightly more men smoke than women, and smoking is also highest among those aged 25 to 35 years. It is also reported that more than 1 in 5 deaths in Hull are directly due to smoking, equating to 10 individuals losing their lives every week. Tobacco is the single greatest cause of preventable death, disability, illness, and social inequality. Half of all smokers will die prematurely due to smoking. Chief Medical Officer Professor Chris Whitty says that people like me get very concerned and upset about this cancer because it is almost entirely caused for profit. The great majority of people who die of this cancer die so that a small number of companies make profits from the people who have become addicted at young ages and then keep addicted to something they know will probably kill them.
Very Brief Advice has been designed around well-known behaviour change models and is designed to deliver effective advice without taking up too much time or harming relationships with smokers. It's a simple form of advice that's designed to be used opportunistically in less than 30 seconds in almost any consultation with a smoker.
Smokers are almost twice as likely to try to stop smoking when offered support, compared with just being told to stop. The odds of quitting are 68% higher if stop smoking medication is offered, and 217% higher with an offer of support.
Very Brief Advice works on 3 key principles: to ask, advise, and act. First, you ask the smoker about their tobacco use. Second, you advise smokers that the best method of quitting is with a combination of medication and behavioural support. And finally, you act by supporting them with their quit attempt, where you can make an appropriate referral to SmokeFree Hull. This should take no longer than 30 seconds.
When we're asking the smoker about their smoking status, it's important to remove the stigma and engage in a conversation about smoking itself. It's important at this stage to assess and understand the current and past smoking behaviour of the smoker, and a very good time to help the smoker think about their smoking, and a good opportunity to ask open questions.
After you've asked the smoker about their status and you've assessed their current and past smoking behaviour, it's then important to advise them on the best way to stop smoking and inform them about the benefits of quitting. You can relay simple facts and figures to them, like the ones listed here on the timeline. This is also the ideal opportunity to advise them that they are 3 times more likely to quit with the correct support in place from a smoking cessation service like SmokeFree Hull.
Finally, time to act. If a smoker is motivated to stop, refer to SmokeFree Hull, who will explain the range of options and work directly with them. If a smoker does not want to stop or is not ready to stop yet, give written information to take away, which includes the number of SmokeFree Hull. Suggest they contact when they're ready to stop.
It's important to recognise that you shouldn't be afraid to ask about smoking status. Most smokers expect to be asked, and many will be surprised if you're not advising them about the best way of quitting. In fact, not discussing smoking could lead them to think that this is not something you're concerned about, and therefore neither should they be. As Very Brief Advice is a 30-second conversation, it can be used again and again. Just because someone declined support a year ago, it does not mean that they will feel the same way now. Every time we don't ask someone about their smoking status, we are losing another opportunity to ask, advise, and act.
When using Very Brief Advice, there's no need to record smoking quantity. There is no safe level of smoking, and so in many ways, it doesn't really matter how many are smoked per day. All smokers need to quit. Even smoking 1 cigarette a day gives the smoker a 64% higher risk of an earlier death than somebody who has never smoked. The very act of you engaging in the 30-second conversation will prompt many people to make a quit attempt, and there's also some basic psychology involved. If you ask someone if they want to stop, they will automatically start generating reasons why they shouldn't or can't stop. Very Brief Advice is designed so that you can cut to the chase and simply advise them of the best way of stopping smoking.
SmokeFree Hull offers a variety of stop smoking aids and medications to help a smoker with their quit attempt.
There are 3 approved medications to help with stopping smoking. The first is nicotine replacement therapy, which can be prescribed over the counter and is also on general sale in varying different forms, including patches and gum. These will provide the smoker with a low level of nicotine without the poisonous chemicals present in tobacco smoke. In addition to this, there are 2 prescription-only medications that are also available. These are most commonly referred to as Champix and Zyban. All of the medications listed are most effective in combination with behavioural support, which is delivered by specially trained stop smoking practitioners within the SmokeFree Hull service. They'll get to know you and find out what support you want with quitting. It is also important to note that, although not medication, the utilisation of e-cigarettes has also been found to assist with quit attempts.
E-cigarettes have been shown to be effective cessation aids and are estimated to be at least 95% less harmful than smoking. To account for the diversity in product design, some researchers have classified e-cigarettes as first, second or third generation devices. A first generation e-cigarette is one that closely resembles a cigarette itself and is disposable. A second generation e-cigarette is a larger, usually pen-shaped device that can be recharged. A third generation e-cigarette refers to devices that do not resemble a combustible cigarette and often have very large and sometimes customizable batteries. More recently, e-cigarettes that have a sleek, high-tech design and easily rechargeable batteries have entered the market, including e-pipes and e-cigars.
With such a large variety of choice available, a lot of people ask what is the best treatment and what should be recommended. Currently, around half of all smokers in England try to quit unaided using willpower alone, despite this being the least effective method. Using nicotine replacement therapies or e-cigarettes makes it 1.5 times as likely a person will succeed. A person's chances of quitting are doubled if they use a prescribed stop smoking medicine like Champix. However, when a combination of stop smoking aids along with expert support from SmokeFree Hull is put in place for a smoker, it makes them 3 times as likely to quit smoking compared to using willpower alone. Therefore, the best advice you can give a smoker is to refer them to their local stop smoking service to give them the very best chance of stopping compared to any other method.
At SmokeFree Hull, we have a specialist advisor who works exclusively with pregnant smokers. When supporting pregnant smokers, it's important to recognise that nicotine replacement therapy is perfectly safe and recommended as an alternative to smoking. However, it's not currently recommended that prescription medications such as Champix or Zyban are offered during pregnancy.
Smoking prevalence is much higher among people with poor mental health when compared to the general population. However, they are just as likely to want to quit smoking and are just as motivated to quit. However, it's important to note that smokers with mental health issues may sometimes have difficulty motivating themselves to do even the most basic of tasks, let alone a major health behaviour change like stopping smoking. Therefore, they should be considered for a broader range of tailored treatments and other approaches, such as advice to cut down before stopping and other additional behavioural and emotional support options. People with depression should also be closely monitored when stopping smoking and should be advised not to take Champix or Zyban, whilst also being advised to see their GP if they experience any anxiety or other behavioural changes.
The following clip is taken from the NCSCT YouTube page and demonstrates how to use the knowledge you've gained today and apply very brief advice in a real-life situation.
30 seconds is all it would have taken to follow 3 simple steps. Ask, advise, and act.
Oh, Mr. Jackson, are you still smoking?
Yes I am, unfortunately. With the new baby, I'd love to
First,
give up,
ask your patients and establish and record their smoking status.
it's really stressful and
This won't spoil your relationship.
tough.
How old is the baby now?
Most patients expect to be asked and are happy to talk about it. Next, advise.
Well, listen, obviously the choice is entirely yours, but we now know that the best way to stop smoking is a combination of support and treatment.
Advise them that the most successful way to stop is with medication.
You're not just doing it on your own. Do you think that's something that might interest you?
Yeah.
And finally, act. If you have an in-house stop smoking advisor, suggest they make an appointment.
We have a nurse here who is an expert in helping.
Alternatively, refer them to the local stop smoking service where they can receive specialist support.
Do you want to make an appointment?
Yeah, why not?
Good.
Let's do it.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Okay, well, you let me know how you get on.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's never too late to change someone's life.
I have an appointment tomorrow at 9:30.
Health professionals are listened to in a way that's unique.
Do you have an appointment card?
30 seconds is all it takes to ask, advise, and act to inspire someone to stop smoking for good.
SmokeFree Hull offers free advice and tailored support for those looking to begin their stop smoking journey.
To make a referral, you can contact us via telephone, visit our website, or via email. You can also contact us via Twitter and through our Facebook account.